Welcome to VLSI design video. We are looking at unit 6, that is CAD tools. The contents are MOS layer, stick diagrams, layout design rules, technology scaling, layout editors, compilers, and modeling and extraction of circuit parameters. So the objective of this course is to design using CAD tools by basic programming in VHDL, and after watching all the 6 videos of this unit 6, you will be able to analyze circuits using both analytical and CAD tools. First, let's see the introduction. In VLSI design, as processes become more and more complex, need for the designer to understand the intricacies of the fabrication process and interpret the relations between the different photomasks is really troublesome. Therefore, a set of layout rules, also called design rules, has been defined. They act as an interface or communication link between the circuit designer and the process engineer during the manufacturing phase. The objective associated with layout rules is to obtain a circuit with optimum yield, that is nothing but functional circuits versus non-functional circuits, in as small as area possible without compromising reliability of the circuit. In addition, design rules can be conservative or aggressive depending on whether yield or performance is desired. Generally, they are a compromise between the two. Manufacturing processes have their inherent limitations in accuracy, so the need of design rules arises due to manufacturing problems like photoresist shrinkage, tearing, variations in material deposition, temperature and oxide thickness, impurities, variations across a wafer. These lead to various problems like transistor problems, which are nothing but variations in threshold voltage. This may occur due to variations in oxide thickness, ion implantation, and polysilicon layer. Changes in source and drain diffusion overlap also may happen. Variations in substrate. And the problems can be like wiring problems, which can be due to diffusion. There is a variation in doping, which results in variation in resistance and capacitance. Polymetal problems, variations in height, width, resulting in variations in resistance, capacitance, shorts and opens. And there can be some oxide problems. Oxide is nothing but variations in height, like lack of planarity, and via problems. Via may not be cut all the way through. Undersize via has too much resistance. Via may be too large and create short. So to reduce all these problems, the design rules specify to the designer certain geometric constraints on the layout artwork, so that the patterns on the processed wafers will preserve the topology and geometry of the designs. This consists of minimum width and minimum spacing constraints and requirement between objects on the same or different layers. Apart from following a defined set of rules, design rules also come by experience. So first, see the introduction to design rules. Design rules are a set of geometrical specifications that dictate the design of the layout. Layout is top view of a chip. Design processes are aided by stick diagram and layout. Stick diagram gives the placement of different components and their connection details, but the dimensions of devices are not mentioned. Circuit design with all dimensions is layout. Fabrication process needs different masks. These masks are prepared from layout. Layout is an interface between circuit designer and fabrication engineer. Layout is made using a set of design rules. Design rules allow translation of circuit, usually in stick diagram or symbolic form, into actual geometry in silicon wafer. These rules usually specify the minimum allowable line widths for physical objects on chip. Example: metal, polysilicon, interconnects, diffusion areas, minimum feature dimensions, and minimum allowable separations between two such features. What is the need for design rules? To get the better area efficiency and to get better yield, to have better reliability, and to increase the probability of fabricating a successful product on silicon wafer, we need to go for design rules. If the design rules are not followed, then functional or non-functional circuit will come up. That means the circuit may be functional or it may not be functional, and design may consume larger silicon area, and the device can fail during or after simulation. So some of the color codes which are used for preparing layouts are layouts, as well as the design rules also have the rules of all the preparation of layouts. So N plus active is green in color. You can see the representation in the last column also, and P plus active is yellow or brown in color, and polysilicon is red in color, metal 1 blue, metal 2 magenta, contacts are in black, buried contacts are in brown with cross symbol, vias are black again, implant is dotted yellow, and N well is dotted green or black. What are stick diagrams? A stick diagram is a symbolic representation of a layout. In stick diagram, each conductive layer is represented by a line of distinct color, like the colors which I have shown you in the previous slide. Width of line is not important, as stick diagrams just give only wiring and routing information, thus show all components, vias, and relative placement. It does not show exact placement, transistor sizes, wire lengths, wire widths, tub boundaries. There are some of the basic rules which we are supposed to follow to make the stick diagrams. Whenever the polysilicon crosses diffusion, then it forms a transistor. So red color is used for polysilicon, and green color is for active material. So that gives a FET or a transistor. So this is the length to width ratio of a transistor, like as I said, for a NMOS or a NFET, polysilicon red over a green. Likewise, you can see PMOS, it is yellow over red over yellow, and the aspect ratio is given by length to width ratio. This is the length and this is the width. Blue may cross over red or green without connection, and connection between layers is specified with cross. Metal lines on different layers can cross one another. Connections are done using via. What are the basic steps for NMOS? Normally the first step is to draw two parallel metal blue lines which are for VDD and ground rails. There should be enough space between them for other circuit elements. Next, the active region, that is the green parts, must be drawn for required transistors. Do not forget to mark contact as X wherever required. And remember, the polysilicon, which is red in color, crosses active, which is green or yellow, where transistor is required for PMOS or NMOS. For depletion mode MOSFET, draw the required implants which are yellow in color, and label each transistor with length and width ratio. So the rule 1 is when two or more sticks of the same type cross or touch each other, that represents electrical contact. You can see here in the diagram. Next, second rule is when two or more sticks of a different type cross or touch each other, there is no electrical contact. If electrical contact is needed, we need to show the connect explicitly, like with a dot. Here you can see. Next, third rule is when a polysilicon crosses diffusion, it represents a transistor. So this small area, this small region is the transistor. This is PMOS and this is NMOS. And if I make contact, then that does not represent a transistor. If a contact is shown, then it is not a transistor. You can see here. Next, rule 4 is if a CMOS, in a CMOS, demarcation line is drawn to avoid touching of P diffusion with N diffusion, all PMOS must lie on one side of the line and all NMOS will have to be on the other side. So this is called as the demarcation line. And you can see here P channel MOSFETs on the upper side, other side, and N channel on the other side. So generalized structure, if you see the MOSFET structure, the MOSFET structure is having the polysilicon is nothing but the gate, this one. You can see here the polysilicon, and this is nothing but the active region, which is nothing but the N plus. You can see here this one N plus. So this region now forms the channel. So that means the channel is formed here. Okay. So this is the length of the MOSFET, and this one is the width of the MOSFET. You can see here. So this is the width and this is the length of the MOSFET. So first, if we want to make the inverter using MOSFET, already you have seen in the previous lectures, we need a pull-up transistor and we need a pull-down transistor. So that can be done using NMOS also. And if I use only NMOS has pull-up, and the input is also given through the NMOS inverter. Then you can see NMOS is made up of green active line, that is the N plus diffusion, and polysilicon is for gate structure that we have seen in the previous diagram. You can see here. So this one same VDD is connected, you can see. So VDD is connected to polysilicon, polysilicon is connected to VDD. This is the active material for N, and for the next polysilicon we are giving the gate as input. So here input is given. Okay. Next, if we want to use as a depletion mode MOSFET, here the N channel MOSFET is used, but it is depletion mode. So you can see here it is depletion mode, but here I need to place a depletion, that is using the well. Then NMOS using 2 input NAND, the same again, the 2 inputs are placed using the polysilicon, inputs are paused using polysilicon, and here I have a NMOS depletion mode. Same if I want to make the NOR is nothing but 2 parallel, but here in place of PMOS I am making use of a depletion mode NMOS, where gate and source are connected. Same way connected, the connections are shown using the cross. These two are parallel, you can see here. What is the aspect ratio for pull-up and pull-down transistor? The size of the MOSFET depends on the reference inverter design. The reference inverter for NMOS logic design is the inverter with depletion mode load. So ZPD is the aspect ratio of pull-down, and LPD or WPD, and ZPU is the aspect ratio of pull-up, which is LPU by WPU. The ratio of ratio of pull up and pull down is known as inverter ratio, which is ZPU by ZPD. When we draw a stick diagram, inverter ratio should be mentioned for the gate. When we draw stick diagram, aspect ratio should be mentioned for all the MOSFETs. For example, if we have a reference design where the R inverter is 4:1, that means ZPU by ZPD is 4:1. So R channel will be L by W R resistance, that is the R. Therefore, if the MOSFETs are connected in series, it is L by W equivalent is L by W1 plus L by W2 and so on. But if the MOSFETs are connected in parallel, then L by W equivalent equals L by W1, which equals L by W2. So for NMOS, there are two values for R inverter that are sufficient for all NMOS basic gates. So if R inverter is 4:1, then we can use some methods to save the space. If R inverter is 8:1, when input is taken from a pass transistor. So you can see the ZPU and ZPD. These are the different ratios for the NMOS gates. So for each, how much will be the ratio that we need to maintain so that equality will be offered. Next, NMOS NAND, NMOS NOR, 2 NMOS in series, 2 NMOS in parallel. Gate delay and area increases with increase in number of inputs. NOR works quite well for any number of inputs. For NAND, length also increases with increase in number of input. Width is proportional to the number of inputs. NMOS NAND is slower for same number of inputs and power dissipation. NMOS NOR is faster for same number of inputs and power dissipation. Thank you.